I remember my first intake, and if you don't, maybe you haven't bought a performance intake for your car yet. And if you've been shopping around and you see all the brands out there, it might get a little confusing to know which is a good one to go with. Luckily, there's been a brand out there that has been doing it for over 50 years, and that is K&N. So today, we're gonna be unboxing and taking a look at a K&N intake for the new Nissan Z. Okay, I thought we were getting sent an intake, but I think this got switched for a magician's hat or some shit, because this stuff does not stop. What the Hello? That was a little rambunctious, but we do have some parts in here actually. So we're gonna go ahead and take this out. So like I mentioned at the beginning, K&N has been doing stuff for about 50 years, and pretty much every facet of anything that needs a filter, whether it's air, whether it's oil, whether it's some sort of other liquid for pretty much everything. Automotive, performance-wise, marine, power sports, off-road, even like HVAC for your house. If your furnace doesn't have a K&N filter, what are you doing? 10 extra horsepower for your furnace is fucking crazy. So we're gonna go ahead and get everything out of here. It looks like we got our two filters, we got our two housings here. So for the Nissan Z, it is kind of a two intake system. So we got a left and a right side here. We got our pipes themselves. Now these are mandrel bent aluminum pipes. Here we have a spot for our sensors. Looks like they're painted this really nice dark metallic gray color. This looks really, really good. I don't know how much of this we'll actually see in the car because like everything in the new Nissan Z, everything is like tucked under everything. So we'll see how the install on this goes as well. But it does look really nice. There we got our couplers here. We got some nice trim as well. So this is something that you'll find on most K&N intakes, especially ones with like an open top on it. So this kind of goes around the top of these buckets here, just to make a nice seal with the hood and cover any sharp edges or anything like that. So we got a couple of those. We also have some additional grommets and hardware here. Let's see, another coupler, and then our other pipe. So it looks like these are two different sizes, possibly. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then of course, the most important piece of any K&N product out there, stickers. You think it's the intake that adds the horsepower, but no, it's this. All right, that seems to be everything in the box. We're gonna throw it over there with the 1.5 mile long construction paper roll that they threw in there, I guess. Fun fact, K&N stands for Ken and Norm. Do what you will with that information. I just learned that today. So here we have everything. We got our pipes, we have our buckets and housings for the filters, and then we have the filters themselves. So let's actually go ahead and open up one of these bad boys here. So with 50 years of experience in making filtration systems and intakes and things like that, K&N without a doubt knows what they're doing. So they have been an extremely trusted brand when it comes to a lot of things, including motorsports. If you go to any FD event, you'll see K&N pretty much plastered on everything, and that's for good reason. So here we have a look at our filters themselves. Now these filters are reusable, they are washable, they are built to last a long time. With that, however, you do have to service these, you have to make sure that they stay clean, and I believe you do have like a spray or an oil that you're supposed to put on these as well after a certain amount of time. Looks like we do have a nice little carbon fiber cap on here as well. Now this is Alex's, so I'm actually going to open this. Usually we send a lot of these out to our customers and stuff, so we try to keep it really nice and the packaging neat, but this is Alex's, so I don't care. Here we have the K&N logo kind of embossed on the carbon fiber cap there. Looks really good. For these filters, I talked about having to service them, wash them, oil them up, and things like that. Typically, what K&N suggests is about every 100,000 miles between service, which is quite a bit, but we would probably recommend, especially for something with an exposed intake, something like this that doesn't have like a cover on it. If you're driving the car on like the track, you're gonna be kicking up a lot of stuff. Do it a little more often than that. Obviously, if you see stuff on there, go ahead, give it a wash. But they do say that you can go about 100,000 miles or so in between service of these filters. Taking a look at our hardware kit here, it looks like we have some rubber grommets to go in the bottom, I would imagine, of this. So this is where your intake pipe itself is gonna come up into here, so it's not rubbing away at anything, it's not making any weird noises. It's gonna isolate that pretty nice so everything stays where it should, and it's not gonna rattle around. So always good to have these, and essentially it's gonna be the same for this rubber trim as well. And then of course, we got our clamps, which is going to clamp everything together. Looks like these are some pretty decent ones. A lot of times companies, especially like your cheaper companies, will really cheap out on these, and these corrode and get really nasty, and then they become a real pain in the butt to take off. But usually K&N goes with the bit of the better option. So we're gonna put those back in there for when we need them. With this system specifically for the new Nissan Z, they're quoting about a 19.16 gain in horsepower. Now, of course, that's going to be dependent on a lot of different things. It's, you know, every car is going to be different, every intake's going to be different, but that's what they're estimating for the new Nissan Z. When it comes to air intake systems or air intake kits or cold air intakes or whatever you want to call it, it really depends on your vehicle. Now, obviously, boosted platforms, something like the Nissan Z or your Evos or GTIs or something like that, are going to experience a lot more benefit from an intake system, especially when you pair it with a tune. Typically, any type of bolt-on modification, if it's an intake, it's an exhaust, it's a downpipe, it's anything like that, you're going to see the most benefit when you pair that with a tune, and intakes like this are no different. So, fortunate enough for Alex, we are pairing this with a tune on the car. We have a bunch of other bolt-ons as well. We have the downpipes, which were an absolute menace to get on. We have the full exhaust. So adding the intake is kind of the final step here. Pairing it with a tune should unlock a good amount of additional power for this car, and that same goes for pretty much any car out there. The intake alone is great, but you're not going to unlock its full potential unless you pair it with some other things like an exhaust. So for right around $450 to $500, depending on the day and depending on the deals going on, this is what you get from K&N for an intake system for the new Nissan Z. So if you're looking for an intake for your car, if you have a Nissan Z, you're trying to check one out, we'll definitely let you know how this one goes, because we are going to install it on the car coming up very soon. So make sure to check out the other channels like MartiniWorks to see that install and see how everything sits in there, how it performs, and if we would truly recommend it or not. So if you're looking for this system or any other K&N system or just any parts in general, remember to mod your car at MartiniWorks.com.